Hello. So here we have another important concept used in geometry. So it's parallel lines and transversal. So really, there's some uh, rules with angles here, as you can see. So there are two parallel lines here labeled K and L, and really these are being cut through a transversal here. And so as you can see, there's a formation of 8 angles clearly, and some of them or most of them are congruent with one another, and they're patterns that you will see, which will eventually allow you to find all angles with one angle that's given. So let's start off here. So first of all, I would like to give you the definition of corresponding angles. And really, these are angles that are in the same position on each line. So here in this one, the corresponding angles would be 1 and 5, 2 and 6, 3 and 7, and then 4 and 8. So really, if you just look at this definition, you really know what corresponding angles are. And corresponding angles are congruent. So that's one type of angle, I guess, that you should know, especially when you're looking at two parallel lines being cut by a transversal. And the second type is alternate interior angles. And really, whenever I think about these, I think about them being interior. So let's look at angles that are enclosed inside or within the two parallel lines. So within K and L, alternate meaning angles that are alternating, and those angles that are interior, it makes sense that 4 and 6 are alternate interior angles, while 3 and 5 are alternate interior angles, and these angles are also congruent. So the definition, or not even the definition, just looking at alternate and interior makes sense that it's this and this and this and this that are equal. Moving on to the next one, we have alternate exterior angles. And so these are ones, again, that are on the exterior of the parallel lines, and those that are, again, opposite each other. So again, 8 and 2 would be considered alternate exterior angles, and 1 and 7. And really, these angles are also congruent in measure. So we just covered corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles. Now, there's some angles that are not congruent, but they're supplementary, which in the previous lesson I'd said supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. So angles 4 and 5 are known as consecutive interior angles, and these angles are supplementary, which means that they add up to 180 degrees. So 4 and 5 add up to 180 degrees, therefore these are consecutive interior angles, as well as 3 and 6. So these are some basics that you should know. Moreover, previously I discussed about vertical angles, that those angles are also congruent, and really, if we look at this diagram, we see that there are lines that are being intersected, which means that there will be a formation of vertical angles. And really, angles 1 and 3 are vertical, 2 and 4 are vertical, 6 and 8, 5 and 7. And so really, this means that the angles that are vertical are also congruent. And so really, using all these different types of angles, we can find the measure of any other angle if we're given one angle. And I'll show you an example here. So for instance, say you have measure of angle 1 is 120 degrees. And so if the measure of angle 1 is 120 degrees, as you can see here, you clearly know that the measure of angle 2 is 60 degrees, because these angles are supplementary, as together this makes a straight angle, which is 180 degrees. And if you know that measure of angle 2 is 60 degrees, then the measure of angle 3 must be 120 degrees for that same reason, also justifying the vertical angle theorem, because angles 1 and 3 must be congruent. Therefore, both angles 1 and 3 are 120 degrees. Similarly, this one would be 60 degrees, angle 4. And if angle 4 is 60 degrees, then its alternate interior angle must be congruent as well. Therefore, you can see here that the measure of angle 6 is also 60 degrees, while the measure of angle 5 is 120 degrees, being an alternate interior angle with angle 3. And then similarly, you can see that measure of angle 7 is 120 degrees, and measure of angle 8 is 60 degrees. And really, in whatever way you look this as, it could be angle 8 compared to angle 2, or angle 8 being compared to angle 4, or angle 8 being compared to angle 6, whether this is corresponding angles or vertical angles or alternate exterior angles, these angles are congruent. So these are some basic angles and rules that you should know when you see two parallel lines being cut by transversal. Thank you.